Hi, hello. So welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to go over an at-home workout that you can do during Ramadan while fasting or just generally at home. It's going to be beginner friendly. I have some really basic exercises that I think are really important to still do. So let's get started. The first exercise is a reverse lunge. So you'll see me doing this with dumbbells, but you don't need to use dumbbells at all. I'll show you the version without it, but it basically is the same thing. You can keep your hands on your hips, crossed in front of you, whatever's comfortable for you. Just be careful that your balance is there. So if you're having issues balancing, you can put your hand on a wall or on a chair and just do one leg at a time and get the hang of it before you start doing it the traditional way of not holding on to anything. I really like this exercise because it basically just works everything because you're balancing, your core is engaged, your glutes help you come back up, your quads are engaged, and if you're holding weights then you also get some arm action in there too, and so that's why I really like it. But if you are a beginner, I would definitely recommend not using any weight. Just put your hand against a wall and go from there. There's no rush, and the slower the better, definitely. The next exercise is a leg raise. So leg raises target the lower part of your abs basically, and I really enjoy them because they're very convenient to do. You don't need any equipment. You literally can lie on the floor and bang them out whenever you want to, and they're really good if you're used to doing sit-ups or crunches. This is a good way to balance those because sit-ups and crunches tend to target the upper half of your abs, and leg raises will target the lower half. So when you are doing these, if you feel it in your lower back for any reason, just put your hands like this in a triangle and put them behind your back when you're lying down, and that should help you a lot. So that or a towel could actually help depending on what you have on hand. But just remember that if your back is kind of bothering you, you can also modify these by bending your legs, so it's not just like your legs going up and down straight. You can bend them in a 90-degree angle and you'll still work the same muscles, but it'll be a little bit easier. The next exercise is a hip thrust. So I'm showing two versions, one that I did with a weight, so a dumbbell that I had at home, and then one without a weight. With the dumbbell version, I also have a band around my knees. If you don't have a resistance band like this, I would recommend getting one just because they're not that expensive and they're very convenient to use. So if you do have questions about that, you can just comment or message me on Instagram. But I really enjoy using the bands when I'm doing hip thrusts because it just makes it a lot more challenging. Regardless, hip thrusts are really important if you're trying to maintain just overall leg development and your lower back. So a hip thrust works your glutes, and squats and deadlifts and lunges, they do too, but a hip thrust is specifically designed to only target those muscles, which is why I think it's really important for people to incorporate, especially if you sit down a lot or if you run a lot, because when you're sitting down, your hamstrings are kind of stretched, so they aren't as engaged, your glutes aren't as engaged, and to try and counterbalance that, developing your glutes is really important. Additionally, this is a pretty convenient exercise where you can do it from the ground, using a sofa, using a chair. You don't need fancy equipment for it either. If you want to add weight, you can use a pet, you can use a book, you can use whatever you want. But just keep in mind that the goal is to have your body in a right angle, so from your feet to your knees, and then the rest of your legs and your torso, and push with your heel. If it helps you as a cue, you can lift your toes a little bit so that you remember to push with your heel, and that'll help you engage your glutes even more. And if you have a band, I definitely add it and just keep pushing against the band, and that'll activate even more muscles, so you're actually doing more with just that one movement. So this exercise kind of looks a little silly, and a lot of clients have actually mentioned that to me, but I think it's a really great exercise. So a donkey kick can be done with or without a weight. As I'm going to show you, you don't need to use a dumbbell if you don't have one. If you're a beginner, definitely don't use weight. And you just need to keep your body in a tabletop position and kick one leg up, leading with your heel. So you want to make sure that your heel would touch the ceiling first if your leg could actually extend all the way. And that is what is going to get your glutes to be activated. So this is another glute specific exercise. I'm very passionate about these types of exercises because I have a job that requires me to sit down a lot, and I want to make sure that none of my muscles are atrophying or basically dying away just because I'm not using them as much. So I try and make sure that I'm focusing on muscles that need extra help, and for me that's one of them. So with this exercise, another key part of it is to just maintain your balance and your core. So when you're doing this exercise, make sure that your core is really, really tight. So keep breathing, but keep your core tight as if you're doing a plank, and that way you'll actually get even more out of this exercise. And a really cool bonus part of this exercise is that because you're in that tabletop position, you'll actually work your shoulders a lot too, which I think is, you know, why not? Who doesn't want nice shoulders? So the next one looks a little bit more difficult, but I promise you can do it. It's a shoulder tap. We're basically doing a plank, and you can do it either the full proper plank with your hands and feet on the ground, or if you're a beginner or need a modification for whatever reason, your wrists, anything, you can do this with your knees on the ground. And you're basically going to just alternate tapping your shoulder. And the reason that I like this exercise is, first, planks kind of get boring after a while if you're just waiting for the clock to move. And this is a way to actually use reps when doing a plank. Plus, I think it's really good for coordination and for working your arms more. So plank exercises are really great for working your shoulders and some, like your triceps too, depending on the exercise. And so this type of exercise, you're basically getting a lot done with just one simple movement. But if don't rock too much when you're doing this exercise, try and keep your body as still as possible. And start off with your knees if you are a beginner and just work your way up. It's not a race, again, and you will get there, but I love this exercise. It's very good for your transverse abdominals, which are basically the abs inside of your body that you really can't see, but that are responsible for helping you with like breathing and posture and everything like that. So they're very important to work, and I always try and do some type of plank exercise in my workout. So for this one, this is the one I chose. The next exercise are banded squats, or you can just do normal squats if you don't have a band, totally fine. And it's a very basic exercise, we all know, but I do think that it's worth it to go over the form a little bit. So as you can see, I'm keeping my body in alignment the entire time. I'm not pushing my glutes back too much or going so low that my back starts to curve. My knees look like they're going beyond my toes, which is totally fine depending on the length of like your femur, your calf, and everything like that. So totally great. But if you aren't comfortable with this exercise, if you are a beginner, I'd recommend finding a chair and using a chair to practice. And I don't have a demonstration of that in this video, but essentially all you would do is slowly sit on the chair and push with your heels up, and that's it. And that way you will learn how to come down vertically, so you're not pushing your butt back too much, but you're not coming too forward. A lot of mistakes I see are basically people going overly forward or overly backwards, and then forgetting that it's basically a vertical movement, so up and down. And the only way to get better at it is to practice. If you are a beginner, I wouldn't recommend using the band because it does make it more difficult to keep that alignment. So forget the band if you're a beginner. Sit on a chair and stand up, and that should be good enough practice. The next exercise is one that I don't see that often, but I absolutely love, and it's basically a hand release push-up to a tap, or I'm just going to show you a modification, which is just the hand release push-up. A hand release push-up is different than a normal push-up because in a hand release push-up, as you can see, you go all the way down on the ground. You're literally lying flat and then pushing your body up. I find them easier than normal push-ups, and I also think that they're more beginner friendly than a normal push-up. And so by adding the tap, I'm just basically making it a little harder and engaging my abs more, because it's kind of like you have to do a crunch in order to touch your knee when you're doing the exercise. But if you want, you can just do the basic hand release push-up, which is going to work your chest and your triceps and your shoulders. And if you are a beginner and this is too much for you, you can do it from your knees as I'm going to show you, and that's totally fine. Same muscles are going to be worked. Just make sure that you're coming up as evenly as possible. As you get more reps in, it'll be more difficult because your muscles will start to get tired. But it will get easier over time, I promise. And the goal is just to try and make sure that you're lifting as much of your body together as possible. And if you aren't really fond of push-ups, I definitely recommend trying this one. It's a lot more satisfying than a normal push-up where you don't know if you're going low enough or anything like that. So try it. Okay, the next exercise is a back extension or hyperextension with a lat pull down element. I don't know the technical name for it, so I just made it up. But essentially you're going to do a lower back extension, and when you come up, you're going to pretend that you're pulling a weight with your arms and bringing your arms and your elbows back. The reason I'm asking you to add this part is to basically engage your back more. It can be really hard to work your back when you don't have a lot of equipment at home, so this is one way that I like to do it, and it works every time, and I definitely feel it in my back muscles, so right around here. And you can do as many as you can, and then if you say you can only do 6, do the rest of the reps just by doing the normal back extension without the stretching part, and it'll be totally fine. But basically you will feel this almost exclusively in your back and kind of in your glutes. So your legs lifting up will target your lower back, and your arms pulling forward, or pulling backwards, sorry, is going to work your upper back. And just by the idea of doing both at the same time, you'll be able to target a ton of muscles in a short amount of time, and it's just very efficient, and I love it as a finisher, and so that's why this is your last exercise. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that workout, and if you tried it, let me know how it went, how long it took you, what you liked, what exercises you didn't like, anything like that. And if there are other types of workouts or videos that you want to see, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to do them. If you are watching this during Ramadan, I hope that your fasts are going well and that you're just having a really good month with friends and family and loved ones, even though it's a very difficult time this year for a lot of us. And I'm praying for all of you, and I can't wait to see you next time. And if you also want to ask me any specific questions, you can ask me in the comments here below. And you can also just message me on Instagram, and I can answer you there, whatever is more convenient for you. And I can't wait to see you guys next time.